any advisor can give you retirement advice, but here's the thing. Not every advisor is a true retirement planner. Think about it this way. Is every doctor qualified to do surgery? No. There's doctors on philosophy, on medicine, and they're not to the caliber where you would want them to go and grab a scalpel out and start to cut on your body. It's the same way with retirement.
Welcome to the show. This is the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. This is where you get real clarity about retirement so you can build a plan that blesses your life instead of becoming it. We'll share what you need to hear to replace worry with confidence, protect what you've built, and actually live your dreams, not your fears in retirement. Let's dive in.
All right. Hello. Welcome to episode 20 of the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast. This is the first episode of the new year, and I'm so happy that you're joining me. If you're driving in the car, pay attention to the road, but also pay attention to what we're going to talk about today because it's going to be a good one. I tried to think about three things for you that could really impact you in 2026 and some things that you can learn about or go deeper on in 2026 to really expand your retirement knowledge so that you can live your dreams and not your worries in retirement. Now, what I wanted to talk about first, so we're going to go into three different topics. The first one is max drawdown. Now, you may have heard of this. You may have not ever heard of this before. But what max drawdown is the amount of time that it takes a portfolio to go down in a bear market, get to rock bottom, and then come back to your original investment amount. Now, why is that important to a retiree? That's important to a retiree because you're no longer living off of your time. You're living off of the money that you've saved. And if it's going to drop by 50%, I definitely would like to know, if I'm the retiree, how long is it going to take me to come back to my original amount? Now, a lot of people, why does max drawdown matter? Well, if you ran into a 20% loss in retirement, a 20% gain does not get you back to even. You need a 25% gain to get back to even. That gets even worse. A 35% loss. So if you had $1 million and it drops to $650,000, a 35% loss requires a 54% recovery to get back to even. Now, typically, if you look at something like the S&P 500, it's about a 5-year break even. Why this is especially relevant to you in 2025 is I keep getting more and more questions about gold, which everyone knows gold is going through the roof. But did you know that gold has a 9-year break even? And whenever it started to drop in 2011, it dropped by 60%, meaning if you had $1 million in gold, it would have dropped down to $400,000 in value, and you would not have gotten back to $1 million value until 2020. That is 9 years. Most people don't have 9 years to get back to even. So as a advisor, so I'm the owner and chief investment officer, as that role in the firm, one of the things that I think about all the time is max drawdown because it matters to our clients. So this is something that you want to educate yourself on. If you're listening into this right now, and you may not be a big money client. I know our clients know what the max drawdown time is for their portfolios, but if you don't know yours, you need to make sure you go online and try to figure out what that amount of time for it to break even is. Now, what do you do in that case? Well, you just make sure that once you know how long it takes your portfolio to break even in a bear market, 2008 is a great time to look at. So you go back, you can run simulations on, I know we can, I don't actually know how easy it is for you to. We spend a lot of money on software every year, but I'm sure you could, where there's a will, there's a way, or you could just call the office and we could tell you what the amount of time would be for that portfolio to get back to even would be. But you want to know that amount of time because if I know that, okay, my portfolio, the way that it's structured today takes 5 years to get back to even, how many years of cash do I need set to the side to be able to make sure that I don't have to worry about touching my money in the stock market? Well, I need 5 years. So you take the worst break-even time period or worst drawdown period, and that's how many years you have in cash. That's a great place to start, and that is a great way to not worry so much in retirement. The other one that I would recommend that you go and research is something called safe withdrawal rate. Now, today, if you go and you look up safe withdrawal rate, the 4% rule is what's going to come up every year. Here's the issue. When the 4% rule was created about, 40 years ago, Stock and bond returns, stock returns were, 12 to 13% per year. Bond returns were 5 to 6% per year. That is not the case today. You have stock returns that are somewhere around 8% per year is what most people project, and bond returns that are around 3 or 4. And so if you think about the 4% rule when it was created, what was the market doing? Well, it was doing a little bit better than it is today. Now, last year was a great year in the market, but if you look at the 4% rule, you need to know, okay, if I've saved $1 million, how long is this $1 million going to last me? How much can I take out per year? Most people would say $40,000 a year, but I would just look into that and generally tell you that, hey, 4% may not be the number moving forward. It could be closer to 3, unless you work with a retirement income planner. Now, a retirement planner, any advisor can give you retirement advice, but here's the thing. Not every advisor is a true retirement planner. Think about it this way. Is every doctor qualified to do surgery? No. There's doctors on philosophy, on medicine, and they're not to the caliber where you would want them to go and grab a scalpel out and start to cut on your body. It's the same way with retirement. You need to make sure that you're working with someone who knows how to build a retirement plan. It's a totally different thing to take assets, or, you've been used to accumulating assets. Now we need to distribute these assets over your lifetime. So the right retirement advisor may be able to get you that 4% number, but I would just urge you to go and look into the 4% rule. And the last one is why I think taxes, not the markets, are your biggest risk going into retirement, because the government has rising debt rates that are rising fast. I think it's like every second it's a couple $100,000 now. Our national debt is getting higher and higher. Well, with debt, what do you have to do? You have to pay that money back. Okay. How can the government get money to be able to pay the debt back? You can only do one of two things. You can either cut spending. So if I told you, hey, you have a bunch of debt, like how are you going to get around this? You cut spending and you put that money towards the debt, or you make more money. Well, how does the government make more money? They just tax you more. So if you look at retirement, you have an unlimited partner in the IRS as you're going into retirement. You may not even know that. With the current tax rates that are out there, we're in historically low tax rates, which means I think that they could only go higher from where they are right now. And the thing about taxes is you have so many different areas that you could be hit in retirement. Social Security taxes could increase. Medicare premiums could go up over time. Your IRMA healthcare limits could change over time. There's so many different things that you could get hit with, and the smartest thing that you could look at in 2026 is doing something called a Roth conversion. That's where you pay taxes on the money now and you allow it to grow tax-free in the future. Well, Jonathan, which assets do you pay taxes on? I would argue that the best class would be your most aggressive class of assets. So if you own Apple stock, Microsoft stock, Nvidia stock, you should probably be looking at converting those assets to tax-free. Because why would you do that? Well, which ones are going to grow the most? We have no idea. But ultimately, you would want to focus on high growth sectors like technology, like AI, things that are in that same realm. You wouldn't go and say, oh, let me go convert all of the bonds in my traditional IRA to make them tax-free in the future. Because if they're only going to grow at 3 or 4% per year versus another stock that may grow at 8 or 9% per year, you're going to get more bang for your buck if you focus on the money that is in a high growth asset class. The other thing there is whenever you're looking at your asset allocation, you shouldn't wait to do a Roth conversion when the stock market goes down. The best time to do a Roth conversion was yesterday. The stock market is up and to the right over the last, 100 years. So make sure that you at least start small. It's kind of like putting your gym shoes by the door in the morning. Go and do a $500 Roth conversion. Just see how it works. Like literally call, if you're a client watching this, call us. Service team might kill me after they hear this, but it's okay. Client success team. Call us. Say, hey, I'd like to convert $500 of my traditional IRA to a Roth IRA. they can do it. They'll go in and they'll convert it to a Roth IRA. It's very simple to do. And then you get the 1099 where it shows, hey, I have a Roth conversion this year. And it's kind of like putting your gym shoes by the door in the morning. At least you know how it works moving forward. What form do I have to sign? How long does it take me? Like, that's the starting point to any good habit is you. And we're in the new year, so it's a great time to talk about habits. But I think that taxation could be very dramatic in the next 20 years. Maybe something we've never seen before. So, why do you hire a financial advisor? You hire a financial advisor for the same reason that you don't go out and build your own house. And if you're listening to this and you built your own house, let me pose a question to you. Would you do it again? Most people that I ask that question to say heck no. And the reason is, if I built my own house, there's going to be creaky floorboards, and my wife may be standing in front of our kitchen stove and fall through the floor. But I know a lot about a little bit, and I stay in my space. And generally, I find that if you hire an expert and you find someone you can trust, your life is generally better because you have the reassurance to know that, sure, should I do my own due diligence? Yes. But can I trust that I have someone working in my best interest? Absolutely. That's why they have something called a fiduciary. That's why all of our advisors are fiduciaries. But make sure as you're going into 2026 that you know what these things are. Know about max drawdown, sequence of returns risk. What is the maximum amount of withdrawals? What's your max withdrawal rate that you can take every year? And educate yourself more on taxes, Roth conversions, and maybe some alternative investments that are out there that could actually save you money on taxes. They do exist, especially for clients who have saved more than $1 million. Those are out there. They're everywhere. So if you listen to this first episode in the new year, I want to say congratulations. You are a part of a group that invests in themselves, invests in learning about retirement. And that is how you have phenomenal retirement is you have a white belt mentality as you go into it, and you want to learn and just grow as much as you can in this time. And I appreciate you listening to episode 20 of the Build Big, Live Bigger podcast, and we will see you on the next one.